Hello, we're here today to talk to you about a new book that we're working on called A Multi-Site Church Road Trip, The Journey to the New Normal. About 6 or 7 years ago, Warren and Jeff and I met one another, actually at a leadership network, leadership community, and that began a friendship and a relationship and an exploration together of what was going on with multi-site churches in America. And as we had those conversations, we began to see and begin to experience there's really a new movement that was going on. About 2 years ago, we put together some of those ideas in a book called The Multi-Site Church Revolution that really told the story of the movement, of the way that God was using the multi-site strategy to grow churches and to impact the kingdom. Since that book came out, we've continued to have conversations with churches, and those churches indicate to us that nothing's slowing down. Lots of new things are happening. More and more churches are doing multi-site, but also new innovations are happening in the context of the multi-site church movement. And that's really what the Multi-Site Church Road Trip is all about. It's an opportunity for us as we travel around the country, talking to churches, learning what they're doing new in terms of multi-site. We'll talk about probably a dozen innovations in terms of multi-site in the book. And I know, Warren, I wanted you to share with us a little bit about, do you think back about the things that we've talked about? What's the one thing that we want to make sure that people walk away with as they use this resource?
Well, how about two things, both of which you've alluded to.
Yeah.
First, that this is something that's mushrooming. It is hard to find a conference of pastors or any other context where they're not exploring this idea of, would this work for us? Is this something maybe God would bless in our church? Would it solve some of the challenges that we're facing? Would it give us new outreach opportunities? And so this is a great way to explore a whole bunch of different pictures and aspects of what multi-site is about. And that's really my second point, that the book, literally, as you say, we went to different churches and we described the visits. So here, for just not having to pay for any airfare or mileage, you can go with us and see, all right, here's a church that did merger multi-sites, and here's a church that's doing an international campus multi-site, and here's a church that's doing an internet campus multi-site, and all kinds of different ways to do multi-site as you go through the book and see what different churches are doing, including the hard lessons they've learned along the way.
That's good. I know as we were working on the book, Jeff really continued to push us to make sure we were creating a resource that had a lot of practical applications, ways that churches and teams could take the book and use it with their staff, use it with their volunteers, and really help them to be able to learn and to begin to put in place some of the new things that are happening in the movement. What are some of the ways that you see this resource will be able to be used in that manner?
Well, Seacoast, which is the church that I work with, and we mentioned Seacoast a lot through this book. We mentioned it also in our first book, Multi-Site Church Revolution. One of the things we've learned...
But they're new lessons that
New lessons. One of the things that we've learned is that innovation is if we can copy more than one church, then we call it an innovation. And in this book, we give you the opportunity to copy from or borrow from or learn from at least 15 different churches. Each chapter is kind of dives deep on a church, and then we look at several different churches with the same type of innovation. And what we heard from the first book, I heard a lot of staffs, I talked to them on the phone, and they would say the whole staff would go together through Multi-Site Church Revolution. And we think with this book, the same thing would happen. And I brought props with me today. This is more than just water. We're going to let this represent Multi-Site Church Revolution. It's kind of the trunk of a tree. And then this is Multi-Site Church Road Trip, and it's kind of like the branches of a tree, and it kind of grows out of the trunk. And so when you get both trees together, you kind of have the tree of multi-site. So you really need the trunk and the branches to get the full effect of the multi-site. This really didn't work. But anyway, you get the idea.
The good news is that's not in the book, that illustration, and our illustrations are much better.
That'll be in our third.
There we go.
Third one.
Thank you very little for that illustration. And but we do hope that this resource will be a great tool for you and your team. And we hope that you'll join us as we go on the Multi-Site Church Road Trip coming fall of 2009. Thanks.
Thanks.